Our guests in this studio, and this keeps a good run for today, everybody in studio. President of the Berkeley County Commission, Eddie Gochenour. Happy birthday to you, by the way.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good to have you here.
It's good to be here.
You're a young-looking man.
I wish.
Yeah, good for you. Steve Catlett is here as well, the Vice President of the Commission. Steve, hello.
Not as young man as Mr. Gochenour, but
you're still a young-looking man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, the key is you both still have a beautiful head of hair.
And we still smile.
Lots of smiling, despite the stresses.
Yeah, I feel raindrops on my head now, okay? So my family's hair loss is continuing, so I'm proud to carry on that tradition.
You're doing fine, bro. You're doing better than I did. Well, anyway, it certainly was a very interesting last couple of weeks. And I know there's only so much you folks can comment, but your thoughts, I know you all issued a press release over it in regards to the indictments on the embezzlement case. Eddie.
Yeah, I mean, well, we were made aware of some possible issues in the tax office back a while ago, and obviously we could not speak about it because it was an ongoing investigation, and that it all started through the auditor's office, I believe, and then it got handed off to the FBI. So, as everybody has mentioned, I will also mention these folks are considered to be innocent until proven guilty. What I have heard and through the indictment, it's a shame. It's despicable that these crimes have been taken against folks who have been put under the sheriff's care, basically their financial care. So it's a shame, and if they are found guilty, I hope that the law takes care and treats them as they should.
Steve?
A couple of things in my thoughts. When a person runs for sheriff, they're usually a law enforcement person, and probably have more responsibility than law enforcement is the collection of the county taxes. And with the school board money and the county's money, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars a year. So we've talked about this. Maybe there should be another elected office, a treasurer of each county or something, because it's a huge responsibility, and that's unfortunate. But I will say this, that since this investigation, Rob Blair has been very willing to work with us. That we can't tell elected officials what to do with their staff in office, but we have worked very hard to suggest a lot of things, and he has worked with us to make sure that something like this could be prevented in the future and never happen again, hopefully. So I'm very pleased about that.
Yeah, that and they've put policies in place. They put the sheriff put one of his lieutenants over in that office and did the administration of that office, and they put policies in place that had never been there before. And of course, this goes back, 3 or 4 or 5 sheriffs. So this has been going on for quite a while. And as Steve mentioned, every sheriff that I know of, other than Sheriff Daugherty, had over in Jefferson County, had experience in law enforcement, and that's their life. That's what they do, and that's what they're really, really good at. And all of them, and I know sheriffs from multiple counties here in West Virginia, they always trust their tax deputies to take care of the tax office, and that's what had happened here for many, many years, and it's a shame that this took place.
Eddie, you use the word trust, and you may well be right. I would have used the word intimidation. The sheriffs, in my view, have been intimidated over the years by the presence within the tax office.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
There were very strong personalities of those folks running the tax office, and I really think it's my guess, my perception is that instead of having a continual daily fight with the folks, they kind of backed off and let the individuals run the tax office with limited oversight from the sheriff themselves.
You could be right.
That's again my perception, but
Right.
but I've watched this over the years. As you said, there've been several sheriffs involved, and I think at least in some of those is more of an intimidation factor than it was a trust factor.
Well, and I think these gentlemen said it well. It's not their area of expertise. I mean, you mentioned Pete Doherty in Jefferson County, the only person really who had kind of a business and bigger background than the law enforcement piece. But not that that's an excuse. I mean, but you find people, and you see this in a lot of areas, I think, you find people that you put your faith and trust in, and you think, okay, they've been doing it for all these years, and this is not what I'm good at, and so we're going to let them sort of continue along the way. But, you know, the key is oversight. In order, if you were to split the responsibilities, would that have to come a change in the law? Correct?
No, it's constitutional.
Constitution.
It's got to be constitutional.
Okay.
And if you look at this, the majority of not the majority, several states have had the split to the
Okay.
ones that tend to hold on of having the sheriff overseeing the tax office are the more southern states. But if you move out west or move north, there is a separation between the two. In some cases, the tax office is appointed, other cases elected. But it does take a constitutional amendment to separate the
Okay.
two.
And so then one of our watchers, listeners, talked about the audit process. So if you have an outside firm doing an audit, how is it that this was not discovered for that period of time?
Yeah,
Honestly,
honestly,
we had the same question. We get audited every year, pay $30,000 for an audit, and you would think at some
Because
point
they
that
look
this
at the
would
sheriff's office
absolutely
too, yes?
Sure,
they
absolutely.
take bits and pieces out of the entire county government, and obviously the tax office is probably the lion's share of what they look at, because that's where a lot of money's going and through. And
Do you have a
and look
new
at-
auditor now?
Well, doesn't the
Well,
state...
there's only a certain amount of people, a certain amount of auditors in the state that will take on our county because of our size. A lot of the auditors that are already pre-approved by the state auditor's office to do the job, a lot of them cannot, or not large enough to do Berkeley County.
They don't bid on our job, no. But
Yeah.
in fact, the firm that's been doing ours in recent years has been from Huntington. So
So the state auditor assigns contractors to
they
audit the
have
counties?
approved auditors that are approved on the approved list that you have to use one of those. And
Do you have any recourse against that auditor for the funds that you paid them to not catch $3 million that was being allegedly stolen over 20 years?
to my knowledge, we do not. But I blame the state too here. So
Sure.
if I can,
They're the ones that
let
set
me
up the
say this.
auditors.
Well, but here's the other thing. I blame the state, and I mention this every year. We're going again in August this year. We go every year with the auditors conference about the commissioners, and I bring it up every year. There's still 5 single signature accounts in county government, 2 in the sheriff's clerk. We've had 2 embezzlements in the last 3 years. They come to fruition, and both of them have been on single signature accounts. And when are you going to get rid of that? I mean, Parks and Rec, we had double signature account there the whole 45 years of there as a small entity handling $3 million. But a county, and you have these accounts, it's single signature. I mean, it's
Is that
and
the
the
law,
auditor sat
Steve?
down with us at dinner a year or so ago, and he said, "Yeah, I agree with you, but it's going to take." I said, "Then get it done, get it changed."
It's a law that makes it single signature?
Those
allows
certain
it.
accounts allows it.
Yeah.
Oh, they need to correct that. The one in the clerk's office, single signature account, one signature. Supposedly, what was happening, they were taking cash and stamping the sheriff's name on a signature stamp name on the checks to reimburse the cash that was
So
taken.
we recently had a problem with one of the school boards that was picked up with their misuse of money. That's picked up through the audit, but it was only picked up after 3 or 4 or 5 years. So there's the audit program needs to be revamped in the state to be more robust and to be more timely than what it is now. We've seen it. We saw it in Berkeley County. We've seen it through in school boards. We've seen it throughout.
Is there a movement, not just Berkeley County, but to put a constitutional amendment on the ballot that would do this?
I've not had that discussion with
Okay.
any. I mean, I've certainly mentioned it more than once, maybe not on air, but I've always felt that should be the sheriffs that I know and have known it, and have all been good people. They're good people, but they do not have that area of expertise, and you need somebody in that office that understands the practices and procedures and policies of finances and record keeping and all those things that go along with it. And it's very unfortunate. And I don't know how close we are getting off this subject, but I don't want to leave here today without giving the Sheriff Rob Blair total credit for the support that he gave the investigation, the open door for them. He worked extremely hard to allow them to look at everything that they wanted to look at. Our staff, as far as Gary and the IT department, they assisted in any way possible to help uncover and make the auditor and the FBI's job as easy as they could to get in and find this and be able to put a case together.
And Eddie, you made a comment earlier that they've been corrective procedures put into place by Sheriff Blair.
Yes, sir.
We're one of 55 counties. So are similar protective things been put in place for the other 54? I suspect not. So you need to come back to it's a generic problem. Need to look at from the core, which I don't think has been done.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the auditor question in regards to who audits Berkeley County's finances. And you mentioned there's only a couple of firms that will do it because of the size of Berkeley County. Do you ultimately select that firm, or does the state auditor select the firm out of the group that's big enough to be able to audit Berkeley County?
We select this.
You select it. And how long have you been using this particular firm, do you know?
I don't remember.
Past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Was there a reason why it was switched to this firm versus another?
We had about 2 or 3 that bid on the job, and we felt they were the best to offer. And so far, we've been satisfied with their recent audits and all. But
Have they given you a response in regards to how this slipped their detection?
they have
I
not
haven't
at
gotten
this
anything
point.
from them.
We haven't had that discussion.
Will you be having that discussion with them?
I would think so.
Because I will be having that discussion with them. I'd love to get them on the show.
I would think so.
That would be my first question. How do you miss $3 million? Well, what are you looking for? If you're auditing, how do you miss it? You know, I know people are clever, but
Is that $3 million cumulative?
yes,
Yeah.
Over almost 20 years.
20 years,
Right?
Now, I know, I realize that, but if an auditor would come in, would they look at the full 20 years? They generally look at 1 year.
Past year.
And so there's a much smaller amount that'd be involved there. That's not to say they would not pick it up, but it's not the $3 million. It'd be neon lights.
And
That's
how
exactly right.
how
Yeah.
extensively do they do that? I mean, Eddie, you made a comment that they're looking here, they're looking here. The sheriff's office is just a small piece
Sure.
of what they're looking at. So
Yeah, you know, when I was the emergency manager and the fire chief, you know, on occasion during their audits, they would Alan Davis would call and say, Eddie, they need timesheets for this employee, you know, for this and this particular date. So I'd go back through my files, find those particular timesheets, and get them submitted into the finance department so they could present them to the auditor. So they look at a lot of different stuff. You know, I mean, it's, you know, I'm thinking, you know, you're looking at timesheets, you know, but hey, okay, I'll give them to you. You know,
there was an undercurrent about this case for a little while. Eddie, when is the first time that you found out about it as an official case?
it's probably been close to 2 years now. It was shortly after the sheriff took office.
Were you aware of any undercurrents of rumblings or rumors about anything going on before that?
Never.
About you, Steve?
No, same thing. It all happened, truthfully, it was discovered when the removal of Sheriff Harmon, and they were investigating that situation, and that's how they discovered this, to be honest with you.
That's, I believe Joe Kinzer mentioned that when he was on last week, that this
And
is how it was discovered.
That's how they said, hey, you know, we got a problem here too. And then once they got further into it, then it was a lot deeper than people even thought it could be. But
Is it possible that if there was no issues with Sheriff Harmon, that this
could still
would
be
be
going on.
continuing?
I think so.
That's fascinating. Troubling, too,
Yes, it is.
in many
Very
ways.
troubling.
Is there, at this time, any recourse for getting any of the funds back that you are aware of?
We have frozen. There are retirements of those two people that have been obtained, and but and we have insurance coverage. But at this point, we're only going to receive probably $250,000. They're considering it as one incident instead of two, or instead of several. I think at the very minimum it should be $500,000 because there were two people involved supposedly. So it seems to me it should be $250,000 per person. But our attorneys are still working with the Corps on that to see if we can get more help from them. But so far we've only received $250,000, and of course fiscally the commission is responsible for this, and we're the ones that have to make up for the loss. So
How do you do that?
well. Very frustratingly, we have to do it, and we try to find revenue. So far, we have contributed probably back to those conservatories about $400,000. We have another $400,000 that's going to be due in early August. So we'll see.
Are you going into the county rainy day fund to reimburse these individuals?
We have not yet at this point.
And can you explain, like
Okay,
I've
just
read...
real quick,
Okay, sorry.
Are you able to go into the rainy
Could
day
we?
fund?
If we had to, we could. Sure.
Okay.
Can you explain the types of estates that this came from? Because I think people out there in the ether land are thinking, those are my tax dollars. And while they are technically, it's really a group of individuals that had no one else
No
to
family.
go through their estate
Weren't
work.
capable
Yes?
of taking care of themselves, and so the law in West Virginia, they're assigned to the sheriff of that county to handle their finances.
Okay.
A conservatory or.
But
And-
and those accounts, are the ones that are paying the bills for the folks to stay in either their nursing home, perhaps, or paying all their utilities and their taxes on their properties, all that kind of stuff, if they're still in their own home. But we have a commitment, and obviously, those bills need to be paid, and those people do not need to worry about that they're going to be put out of the nursing home or their lights could be turned off. We're not going to allow that to happen, and we will do everything in our power to stop something of that magnitude. Even though it is not the responsibility of the Berkeley County Commission, we accept it as a county, that responsibility to keep these people
Make it whole,
keep
make
these
it right.
folks whole. Exactly. Yeah.
Make it whole, make it right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got a text from somebody who said auditors don't look at every transaction; they look at a sample of transactions.
That's right.
Even on small audits to large audits, they do it.
Yeah,
I
so
think less than 10%, probably.
less than 10% of all the
Yeah.
transactions. So
But it's very frustrating. We work so hard to make things better in our community, and then it just makes you take a couple steps backwards. So that funds that we certainly could use in a much better way, and it's really sad.
So in regards to these conservatorship accounts, I was asking Joe Kimsey these questions, but he did not know the answer to those. Do those folks get statements every year that detail what their line item transactions and balances are? Is that how that works? Do you
I would certainly
know?
think so. I don't know either, but I would certainly think so. I mean, I don't know. Certainly if Joe doesn't know, I'll guarantee you I don't know. But I would certainly think that those accounts would come from a banking institution, or into a banking institution where you would pull those monies out. I don't know exactly how it works.
But there's no impact there because they wouldn't be in this position they're in the first place if they could handle their own finances, Rob. So I don't know that would matter,
But somebody would be in charge of the account, would they not?
I assume. I mean, who's in charge is the sheriff of the county and the people he assigns to do that. So that's who's in charge.
How many people are currently employed and were employed in the sheriff's tax office?
There's probably 8 or 10. There's probably 8 or 10 people in
Okay,
there.
a large group then.
I would have thought more than that, Eddie.
It could be.
Yeah.
I mean, I stop down there every now and then, but I don't.
Yeah.
You know,
Count.
there's, you know, I just stop down and say hi, but you know, there's people in back offices and doing whatever they do, and I just see the people out front.
Mm-hmm.
But
there's only a few that handle those conservatories.
That's
okay?
exactly right,
They're-
yeah.
everyone's
The other
not-
people do
everyone's not
everything
exposed to
else.
that.
And they were the more senior people
Exactly.
in this case, yeah.
Right.
Are these two indictments the extent of the investigation? Is it over at this time?
we hope so.
We hope so. It's been going on for
Yeah,
a
and that
long
was
time.
one of the reasons why it was so slow coming out. They wanted to make sure that nobody else was involved.
Gentlemen, thank you. Stay another half hour if you can.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you're not idling out in the parking lot there.
With
You're
somebody in your
turning that
car.
ignition off. Bill, you requested first question out of the spread.
Yeah, I did. There's been some question about the rationale of the data centers funding and the distribution of funding. And gentlemen, I think there's been some opaqueness on how they're going to do that. You've tried to ask certain questions from the governor's office about how this funding is going to be distributed. Have you gotten anything back from them?
We did get a response back. I think we sent down Anthony. I think 15 questions,
Yeah.
and I think 3 were answered. The others were brushed off, and some were ignored. And obviously, that's not acceptable. So we've asked for a meeting to sit down with them. But we want everybody in the room that can answer the questions. I don't want to drive to Charleston and give them the opportunity to say, well, that's the treasurer's responsibility or that's his job. Okay, well, then put the treasurer in the room too. So everybody that can answer or that needs to answer our questions, we would like to be able to sit down with them and have this discussion on how their law is to be applied.
Eddie, I'm sure you cannot remember all 14 or 15, but can you give the sense of what some of the questions might be or were?
I can't right off the top of my head. I mean, I know a lot of them were about the values, how they're to be determined, the salvage values. There's so much, and even more so probably on the distribution portion of the taxes once they're collected. What goes to the school board? How does it affect the levies? How does it affect the bonds? All this stuff. There's a lot there, and Anthony, our delegate, our lawyer, has really truly dove into this. And I'll be honest with you, I think he knows more about these particular tax laws than Charleston. I'll be honest with you.
Anyone in the state.
Yeah, I mean he's made it a
So
passion.
he put together those 15 questions for you with input from you all, obviously.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we want to be able to ask these questions and give them every opportunity to make sure that we understand exactly what the law is intended to do, and hopefully they're satisfactory. That's we don't want to fight. We don't want to fight with this, but we also got to be treated fairly, and everybody involved, the school system, the county governments. Everybody needs to be treated properly.
And this is such a visible issue just now, and a lot of people are passionate about it. And the more information we can provide, the better we will be. Would it be possible, Eddie, to have those questions posted on the county's website?
I'm not sure. I don't know. What do you think, Steve?
I think we would want to get the answers more depth first before we make it, public.
Well, yeah, but
And
you can.
The reason for that is we don't want them to back off then, and feel that. In other words, if we have a meeting with them, I don't think it could be a public meeting because they're not going to answer the questions. But so I think we need to delve into it more before we do that
Yeah,
and get more answers. 'Cause
I'm
right
gonna-
now,
Steve, can you scooch back towards us a little bit?
Sure.
You're starting to squeeze out of the camera. Just
Yeah.
physically move to your right a little bit with your microphone.
Yeah, get closer to Eddie as opposed to me.
As your friends.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, but
Thank
I'm going to push back a little bit as well.
All right.
I would see the questions would be a separate entity altogether than the meeting. I can see that you would not want to make it a public meeting, but you have concerns, and Anthony and others have framed it with certain things that you're seeking answers for. My gut sense is that would be of interest to the public.
Well, let's do it this way. If it's okay through our legal to post them, we certainly have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
Then we'll hopefully we can get them posted.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Here's the biggest crock of the whole thing in my mind. And I had this conversation with Senator Barrett yesterday at length. We go down to Loudoun County 2 weeks ago. Gary, Eddie, and I sat with their administrator, their folks, for 2 hours. Very interesting conversation. They have 205 data centers in Loudoun County, the most of any county in the United States. They are taking in, on their personal property from those 205 data centers, $800 million a year. They're taking in from property value $250 million a year. So their county budget is receiving $1,050 million a year from the 205 data centers. They're appraised and they're assessed, though, at 60%. Here in West Virginia, the current law, we're going to be appraised at salvage rate at 5%, 1/12 of that. So if Loudoun County, Virginia was in West Virginia right now under the current law, instead of paying $800 million in personal property, they'd be paying $67 million a year. Think of the difference there. And under the current law, the state would get half of that, which would be $33.5 million, and the county would get $20 million. And it's absurd that these companies can come in and spend millions of dollars to purchase the land and are the richest people in the country, and they can't pay their fair share of taxes on it. It makes no sense. If that's what the purpose was to reduce the state income tax, then why wouldn't you want more funding other than a 5% salvage rate, for crying out loud? We're giving ourselves away. We do it all the time, and it's wrong.
This is Mr. Gilstrap's claim, by the way.
It's
two are in agreement on that.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
The questions you didn't get answered, I don't know if you got an explanation as to why they weren't answered or not, but we had Steve Roberts on, the president of the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce, and he talked specifically about putting the cart before the horse when the HB 2014 passed and how this entire data center thing has taken place. Did you not get answers because they didn't know the answers to some of those questions yet?
I think so. I don't think anyone really knows the full formula right now.
Because that's
Everyone
the
we talk to gives us different figures and different amounts.
We've seen so many different numbers.
And nobody knows the real answers. I don't think we will until it happens.
We've never seen the same number twice.
Never.
But I'll be honest with you, I'm not so sure they know.
We were given a paper with the answers to our breakdown a few weeks ago, and then we got a call the following week and said, "Tear that up. That's wrong. We'll get you another one later," which we haven't gotten yet. So I mean, I said at the time, "Well, where'd these come from?" They said, "From the state." I said, "Okay," but I mean, it's
so who is the state?
well, the Department of Commerce, the state treasurer, the state
Tax commissioner.
tax commissioner. That's who we sent the questions to.
And we are not alone in this discussion, fight, whatever you want to call it. I mean, there are other counties that are experiencing it. Have you had discussions with the folks, I think specifically Tyler County? Is it Tyler County?
Tucker County.
Sorry.
Tucker County. We have
And are
Mason
they...
County is going to get a big one out on the Ohio River, Mason County.
But aren't there certain subtleties and differences? Tucker County, for example, is concerned about this large fuel reserve, part of the micro generator, a problem we don't have in Berkeley County. So each one of them, there's some subtle
Little bit
differences.
different.
And Mason County is going to be a microgrid as well.
Yeah,
So
okay.
they're going to be completely different.
But they have concerns. You know, we sit at our last County Commission Association meeting. We sit down with Mason County at their request, just to share information. You know, they're already pushing dirt. You know, they're pushing dirt. So,
Do you have any sense at all that you're going to have the meeting with the state officials that you hope that you'll have? Have you gotten any feedback, whether receptive to a meeting or
Yes.
going to brush you off? What?
yes, so they are receptive to a meeting. We just got to make sure everybody can get nailed down, and we want to have everybody in the room. That's the key to this.
Now, everybody in the room, does that include the legislators or representatives from the legislators, or just the executive branch?
Well, they can certainly be there, but we want the people there that can answer the question. There's not a legislator out there, perhaps Senator Barrett, but I don't think any other ones can do those calculations and determine those
Yeah.
how the breakdown is going to be. But the auditor's office, the treasurer's office, the energy commerce, everybody needs to be there because there will be questions directed to them and somebody needs to answer them.
In the past, Eddie, you've spoken very highly, or at least very accommodating, of the data center czar, Chris Morris.
Yes.
Do you still feel that he is cooperative in trying to work with you?
I think so. I'm not sure that he agrees with everything coming and going either. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think he's in a very, very difficult position, and I do believe that he wants to do things correctly. I think he understands. I haven't spoke with him probably for a month or so, but I keep telling him, look, we have to be able to get the proper setbacks to protect the neighbors. They have already addressed the underground water, which these folks aren't. At least Penzance is not going to use underground water, but even if they were, that hydrogeological test would have been required through the state. But I think that with the proper setbacks, a lot of the issues can be addressed to protect the neighbors, and that's our goal right now. Is not only to find out about the numbers and stuff, but to be able to protect the neighbors the best that we can.
Yeah, you mentioned underground water, and there is a perception that underground water is underground water is underground water. Underground water in Morgan County is different than the underground water in Berkeley County because of the rock types and how water flows, sandstone versus limestone versus shale and the like. So one is not all the same. But going back to this meeting, and hopefully you get the answers you're looking for. What recourse does the county have if you do not get answers that you feel are satisfactory to what you need to do?
Well, I think that our best route of travel is to exhaust every opportunity to get the answers that we need. And at the end of the day, if we're still not satisfied with that, then our next step would possibly be through the court system.
Yeah. We've been talking about the funding. There's the other aspect, and you alluded to a second ago, some of the guardrails. And I understand there is some interest in the legislators right now. If the executive office does not put together adequate guardrails, that the legislators next session are prepared to do that. Have you heard that?
I have not.
Okay.
I think there's going to be a lot of bills presented, though, to correct this bill
Yeah.
and add to it, and I think that's going to happen for sure because now that people are starting to understand how bad a bill it is, they want to get it better, make it better.
And the legislators, I think, recognize this. So I do hope that if the governor does not put the guardrails in, the legislators will do that.
And the salvage rate is the first thing they need to address. Is that
but it also, as bad as that bill is, when you do open it back up, you got to be on your toes so that the counties don't get ripped off.
Yeah.
So you.
Well, when it went past 2014, was that in 2014? A couple years ago that it passed.
2025.
2025. At that time, it was the counties were caught unawares. The populace was caught unawares. Yes. That's not the case now. Everybody has a magnifying glass looking at the data centers and the impact.
Sure, and and a lot of our colleagues, they're kind of sitting back and I think waiting to see what we're going to do, and
by colleagues you mean other counties?
Other county commissions, yeah, they're kind of looking to say, hey, what are you going to do? And like, well, we're trying to exhaust every opportunity, and we will share information when we get it, but we're just trying to get some answers. That's.
When do you perceive or hope that this meeting to answer the 15 questions is going to happen? Are you pushing to
this month?
Okay.
Yeah.
July, this month.
If you decide to go the litigious route, and that's way down the line, right? Is that a majority commission vote of 3-2, or does it have to be 5-0?
No, it's 3-2.
Majority.
Simple majority, 3-2.
I want to say this about our meeting in Loudoun County. The two companies that we have here that are Penzance and QTS that are going to build supposedly our data centers are really good companies, they said. They said, we have some bad ones down here, but y'all are getting two good ones. And the meetings we've had with those folks so far have been very positive and very open, and they seem to really be willing to work with us, particularly on the setbacks. When we left that meeting down there the other day, we agreed that probably the best setback was 500 feet, and hopefully they'll agree to that, and just a lot of things. But they seem to be very willing to work with us, and let's hope that's the case.
Now, the setbacks, should that include a burn, such as what Procter & Gamble did?
Usually they say a burn is not good because it can actually cause noise to be increased. But trees, vegetation is the best.
Absorption.
Absorption, yeah. And not a berm, because the sound waves that do this and come back down is what they're saying. Like it does the weather with the mountains, it comes boom. So a berm's not a good thing. So
when you were in Loudoun County, do they keep 100% of the taxes that they collect there?
All 100%. The state gets none of it.
Does the school get 80% or 75% of that?
Their county commission down there handles their school budget, so their total budget's $5.some billion a year. To run county government, it takes $1.3 billion, and they're taking in over $1 billion just from the data centers. But their money's spread out to cover their school system too down there.
Do you know what the school split is supposed to be from the money you end up getting, both from the 30% local and the 10% that's distributed?
That's one of our questions. That's one of our questions. How's that broken down? And we don't know yet.
If it was
there's a misunderstanding that 10% that goes to all counties. So Berkeley County, that's not. We're going to get 7% of that 10%. That's what it comes out to.
It's a per capita distribution.
It's per capita, so we're going to get about 7% of other counties' 10%. That 10% money. So
If you were getting 100% of the property taxes from the data centers from the real estate. Would that have been a normal split with the schools, Berkeley County schools?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you don't have to split it, how does the school get made whole of the tax dollars that they're not getting in that split?
That's one of the questions.
Was that one of your 15?
Yeah, it is.
Did that get answered
How does
at all?
it get broken down? And supposedly it doesn't affect excess levy of the school, but it does affect their bond levy monies and their regular current levy monies. So, but that's part of the questions that Anthony sent.
Did you get answers on those questions?
We did not.
Okay.
We did not. We got questions like, do they still pay the property transfer tax on the sale of the properties? Can they pay fire fee? Can they pay the ambulance fees? We have gotten those resolved. They will be paying those. So.
That was done through the legislature.
Yeah, that was done. It was corrected through the legislature.
And the transfer taxes, you were keeping 100% of from the Hardy bill, correct?
Well, we get 5/7 of that, Rob.
It increases
It's $7.70 per thousand of the sale price. The farmland protection gets $2.20, and the county now gets $5.50 of that.
But the state's not withholding any more of that money, correct?
They're not keeping any of that funding at all. We're getting everything back that the state used to keep.
That was the Hardy bill, right?
That's exactly right.
And that was supposed to accelerate over 10 years, but that's now at its full potential?
It's already at full potential this year, and we should generate over $5 million from our share from the property transfer tax this year.
All right. And we have just a couple minutes left. The latest on the impact fees you've been collecting since November, if I recall. We are now at the end of June.
Yeah. Well, the last fiscal year, we did 1,147 permits. Okay, but that was from July 1st of last year to June 30th. We didn't start the impact fees till November 1st. So we're comfortably going to hit over 1,000 homes again during that year. And it's going to bring in an additional $6 or $7 million into Berkeley County.
6 or 7, did you say? Or
6 or $7 million additional dollars that we didn't have otherwise. So it's a wonderful thing.
And that's strictly from the
And I'm pushing
impact
to increase some of the pots that we have to the full max. A couple $100, like Parks and Rec, we could go another $300. Well, that's anywhere from $300 to $500,000 more a year. Why wouldn't you take it? It'd still keep the total fee under $6,000 a house. Nobody knows what the fee is. It's $53.42, right? But you say it's $5,000 and something. So what's the ambulance fee? We can raise it another $100. That's $100,000 plus a year. Why wouldn't we do that? It makes no sense not to.
And you mean it as part of the impact fee?
Yeah, of course.
When you, because I want to create panic on Facebook when you say we're going to raise the ambulance fee another $100.
No, impact.
You meant as
It's
part
like
of
the
impact.
rain tax.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Why wouldn't we go to the full max on those pots that we need to run county government?
And
because of the growth.
When do you make the decisions on increasing impact fees?
We can do it any time, but we'll probably look at it after this first full year, sometime this winter.
And that can
in
happen
this fall.
multiple times during a year, or is it set for once?
I think we have the ability to do it whenever we choose to.
Yeah, but consistency is important, so you don't want to be doing that. You need to look at the whole picture. Steve is an advocate perhaps of raising that fee a little bit, but you still need to look at interest rates that people have to deal with on purchasing homes. Look at the economy itself. So those things are concerns. We just got to look at the whole picture.
Every county around here, though, much higher than us.
Oh, yeah,
Go to
no
Virginia
doubt.
and Maryland, it's absurd. And Jefferson County is double as higher. So what's going to hurt to raise it a couple $100? Why wouldn't we take the money and use it?
Did you guys come in the same car or separate cars?
I will fight for it, I can tell you that. We need to raise it to the max on sour pots.
I'll let you guys battle that out on the way back to the
yeah,
building.
we could have certainly rode in the same car because we have a mutual respect for one another, and we have the,
And we butt heads out every day, don't we? And usually,
That's
you know
good.
what?
That's healthy.
We come to a good decision and work together very well.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you guys coming in and doing the hour. You guys do that a couple times a month, and believe me, everybody appreciates it.
Thanks just for having us.
Steve Catlett, 30 seconds, go.
Tomorrow at 11 a.m., there will be a dedication of the first ever recognized Civil War battlefield in Berkeley County.
Cool.
It's the Hoax Run Battlefield Park. It was developed as a park, a leisure park, but now with the Shenandoah Valley Battlefield folks, it will now be a recognized battlefield. July 2nd is the date was chosen because that 1861 was the first battle ever in Virginia.
All right, good job. You got it in 30. Eddie, Steve, thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Bill, Maria, thank you.
You're welcome.
Colt Musgrove, our producer, thank you. Dave Ramsey Show is next. This is Talk Radio, WR Martinsburg and TV 10, and we'll talk again in 22. Short hour.